Hello, everyone, and welcome to the show. I am so glad to be back this week. I am your host, Stacey Lee.
I'm Gary Lee.
We are super excited to have you all here tonight, and I'm super excited for our guest tonight. He is just got a wealth of information in that brain of his, and we are going to have a good time with that and talk to him and really have some deeper conversations tonight, I believe. But first, I wanted to kind of give an overview. I'm sorry, we've had a lot of technical difficulties tonight, so my brain is a little. I've been messing with my camera for an hour right now, and we finally got it working. So we still have sponsorship spots available for the holiday. We're running a special, so if you would like to get in and have your business team, anything sponsored in here, please contact us. We can work out some of those details. It was $60 a month, but I think we're going to run a special where you get a month free to try to get some sponsors in here. So, and then we still have our t-shirts. We still have some of those available. I still have some in stock and in my persons, so I can mail them out to you. So it just save you money if you would like some of those. And we have puppies. We have lots and lots of puppies ready to go. 16 altogether, I think. No, 15. 15 altogether. There is 9 French bulldogs and 6. I think actually only 4 now. I think 2 of them are reserved already. The Old English bulldogs, the OEBs. Here are the French bulldogs. I do not have the OEBs pictures up yet. They are so cute and super adorable. Please contact Rigsy's Bullies at the number provided right here. There we go. There it is right there. If you would like to have a dog. And then we have the Doll's House of Loretto. This is a newer location. Not many people have been in there yet. And you guys have to go check this out. Gary, right? Gary doesn't get fazed much by locations. And you were shook.
Mm-hmm.
And he does not get shook. And he was shook after we went here. So you gotta come check it out. That already passed. I haven't changed it yet. So let's see who we have with us tonight. Jeffrey David Witt. And I gotta get your banner up so we can put you up here as one of our, well, I guess sponsorship, but kind of dual sponsorship thing. Jeff is running the Maine Paranormal and Horror Con coming in September. There is a lot of great people lined up for him. We got to check that out. Like it's going to be amazing. Dana, it's so good to see you. I wish we would have seen you at the Hoover House this weekend. I know you have a lot of things going on with your health, and I just wish you the best. Send you lots of healing. Kevin, I just saw you live just a few minutes ago. You guys were just live. Penny, so good to see you. Thank you. Every week, Penny is here with us. I'm so happy that you're here. And Susan, and I will see you in a couple days, girl. We are going to have fun. We're having our holiday party this weekend. We're going to play games. Susan's the only one that likes to play in the holiday games with me. So last year, her and I had some candy canes tied around our waist, trying to get him out of a bucket. We're going to do it again, Susan. You ready for that? And just putting up here at the Maine Paranormal and Horror Con. So got to go check that out. Our guest tonight is Sean Austin. I think I met Sean at the Bash. I think that's the first place I met Sean. He is just an amazing person. Him and I, when we first talked, just kind of had like that instant connection of like kind of having the same mindset. He started very early age in the paranormal, and it's kind of been his life's journey. He's got 13 years experience, baffling supernatural experiences. And his television debut was in the pilot series of the Demon Files, where he worked alongside of the retired NYPD Sergeant Ralph Sarchie. He also received his mentorship in the field under demonology, under Sarchie's guidance, and it's kind of like what led him into what he's doing now. He was on 28 Days Haunted. I'm kind of going over like a quick recap of what he did. He has his own published work, Shadow Chasers, the In-Between Shadow Chaser and the In-Between Chronicle, his relentless pursuit of the unexplained from the earliest days. He's also a musician, which I have seen his music, just the passion that, like, I watched one of the videos. I think it was the one he was at the beach. just the passion in that is just, oh my God, it was just, I think I was in tears. It was beautiful. And I should have gotten, maybe I'll look at that video and I can grab it here soon and we can watch it tonight. He It's just amazing. He says every investigation unveils a new layer of mystery, offering humbling and transformative experiences. He really helping people in their spiritual needs is not just a privilege; it's an honor to share these encounters with the world. So without further ado, that's just a quick rundown of his bio. I put it up earlier. You guys can read that. And we are going to bring Sean Austin to the stage. Hello, Sean. How are you?
Hello, Sean.
Hey, guys. How you doing tonight?
Good. Thank you for being patient with my camera issues earlier.
No problem. Happens to the best of us, right?
It does. It does. So there is so much in you. Like, you are just a wealth of stuff. And you do so much. And I know I posted your bio. I just kind of gave a quick bio, but how did you get involved in paranormal? Like, where did that come from?
Well, I was a horror movie buff as a child. I was reading Stephen King books in grammar school. I was obsessed with horror, but as I got older, I would watch those documentaries, things like Sightings and Unsolved Mysteries, and later on there'd become a haunting on Discovery Channel, and I just really loved hearing about ghost stories and believing in the validity of people's experiences watching this stuff. But it's funny, I never thought to myself, go out and try to get an answer yourself. But even though I believed in it, not until I was waitering at a restaurant around a time in my life, in my 20s, where there was a friend of mine that was the biggest skeptic ever, and I wanted to take him out to a cemetery because he didn't believe in ghosts. But in that process, I ended up getting my first EVP of a little girl spirit that I didn't even know until I had the next night. And it was like frightening, scary, but exhilarating. And I realized that ghosts are real. About 2-3 weeks later, I saw a shadow of a little girl at the corner of my bed, and it was even light out. It wasn't even dark. And that was kind of like the beginning of the roller coaster ride leading to this present moment of just going out and trying to experience more and just changing the way I look at life in general. I mean, when this stuff is real, it kind of changes your perception in so many different facets. And people started getting me come on podcasts like this. And then I, did my own podcast and led me to meet Ralph Sarchie, who became my mentor in demonology, which, like you had said, led to my first TV opportunity. And it just flourished from there and just got deeper and more in depth and going down the rabbit hole, as we know, is the paranormal and the unknown. And here I am going on, it's like 15 years. I think it'll be this coming year that I've been doing it.
15 years.
It's a long time.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
And I think you're younger than I am, so you definitely started at a younger age. You're also a psychic medium. Like, you have those abilities to connect with these ghosts. Is that correct?
I mean, that's something that didn't happen to me, and I didn't have like a so-called spiritual awakening until my first year of investigating the paranormal in the middle of my life. Though when I started to read books and try to be more, just get a little bit more sense of the stuff that goes on, and reading books about the pioneers in the paranormal, like the Warrens and Ralph Sarchie and John Zaffis, and hearing about the most extreme cases around those times, all in that process, it was just an immediate flip of the switch. I actually was really concerned, because I was reading about demonology and, demonic type haunting books, because I wanted to learn about it, because the most fascinating portion of the paranormal was the taboo corners, the most extreme type of activity. But it was just immediate. Like, I was having dreams and premonitions. And, when I actually wrote my first book, Shadow Chaser, I thought about, there was definitely moments in my life looking back that it was little hints of it. I would have like dreams of people's faces that I've never met. And I wondered, I'm like, can my imagination actually come up with a person's face? Is that possible? And little signs and little things that happen, like an example. I think I was between 8 and 10 years old. We had a house out in Long Island. I was running home in between the homes to get back to my house from a friend's house, and the grasses were dead and high, and I was running between the houses, and I saw something in my peripheral vision, and I just caught my attention, went to go pick it up, and it was like a satanic book. It was burnt on the outer edges and had a creepy feeling. Threw it down on the floor and ran home and cried as any child would have. Looking back at that, it's just kind of like an omen to what the future would become for me. Or just another, prevalent one I always mention is 3 years before I got involved in the paranormal, I was staying at a house with roommates that we had rented out in Westchester, New York. And there was a girlfriend of mine that was coming over to hang out. And she pulled up that night, and she didn't tell me the story till 3 years past this night, because when I started posting things on, about the paranormal, she felt comfortable saying it to me because she thought I would have thought she was crazy. But she told me that when she came to hang out with me, that she came up to the house and saw this black hooded figure staring into my window of the house and turned at, her, and it had black eyes or whatever, and it disappeared. So that was the most terrifying thing that she ever had seen before. And looking back at something like that, I kind of feel theoretically that was kind of this dark spirit watching me before I actually, engage into what I like to call the spiritual rules of engagement. When you kind of open up that doorway and walk into these environments, which allow these things to interact with you. And when you start doing some of that light work and trying to help and go up against dark evil spirits, that's when it's, a different ball game. These things will definitely come at you. Because there's no conception of time in the spirit realm, past, present, future, all the same thing. So I feel like they knew who I was and what I was meant to do and what I was going to be.
What you were going to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got literally chills, like it's telling me all over my body, like, yes, that was exactly what it was. Like they're trying to, like they were trying to stop you before it started.
Yeah. I mean, they're always trying to stop from the shadows. They don't want to, the demonic do want to make an example out of human beings. They want to show God that man can't handle life with the obstacles that are thrown at us without having the higher knowledge. That's the whole reason why they had left God and fought God to come down here. So, if we give them the opportunity to do so, they'll try to break us down at every corner until they get you down in the dumps psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, and ultimately physically. That could lead to harming yourself or others.
Yeah, exactly. And I think like certain people, I've always felt I was called to this. Like I grew up Catholic and I grew up like Rosemary's Baby. That was like my first introduction into more of the demonic stuff. And I was just always fascinated and always felt like I knew it was real. I knew it was real from a very young age. Like I maybe it was my family too, because they were very, open to those kind of things. But like those dark entities are there. And I feel like it's almost a calling. Like, do you feel like that's, and I think you just said that, like, this is your path, that like everything that happened in your path, that like, this is where it led you and this is what you're supposed to be doing.
I 100% believe that. Yes. I mean, when I first started going on podcasts just like this, when I was just doing my first do-si-do with the paranormal, so to speak, invited me on, I guess the way that I spoke about things, they kept on telling me, you have a calling. Like you have a calling to deal with dark things. I didn't really know what they meant. And then ultimately I ended up meeting Ralph and then going down some more of that. And, even my book, Shadow Chaser, a good friend of mine, she had told me, she had showed my picture to a psychic that she trusts in her abilities. And, she's like, what are your psychic impressions of Sean? And she's like, he's a shadow chaser. And then she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, he's meant to take shadows and send them back to where they belong. And that's why I call my books that. It wasn't just sounded cool. It was because a psychic who didn't know who I was actually called me that. And I thought that was unique. Kind of obviously a recurring theme of how I'm involved in the paranormal and what I'm actually doing.
I like that. And I've always felt like I was called to that. I've not been mentored or anything like that. I'd like to eventually be mentored by someone who works in demonology. Like that's something that fascinates me. But I do. I felt like when I first met you, like I felt like, actually when I first met you, I felt like there was something dark over you, but I do think there's shadows around you all the time. So like, I'm just going to stand back, but I think at Moundsville, we actually kind of got close. We got closer. We were able to have some conversations. Like, so like, do you feel like they're around you all the time?
Yeah, I pretty much kind of just yell out like single file everyone, because you know, I guess if I'm making enemies with evil and I'm doing my job, it's kind of the way I feel. You know, because I piss off things and they're infinitely relentless. I have some evil spirit that is so prevalently after me and pissed off that comes through like all the time. Something just happened like 2 days ago. It's just, it's fascinating at the same time, and it's creepy, but I'm accustomed to a lot. You know, some people wouldn't be able to handle what I've seen and what has come up against me. You know, this thing is like, I had this evil spirit because I did an exorcism ritual on this haunted castle upstate New York, like over a year ago this past June. And, I don't know. It's something just, it's something, it's really bad, but it's fascinating at the same time, but you got to be super on guard, man, because again, I'm sensitive, and being able to see these things, feel these things, and then, you know, step in the way of these things. I mean, you're, you know, you step in the way of, you know, the enemy of man, that's the devil. I mean, you're making yourself an adversary to these things infinitely. And it's got something I'm going to have to carry that cross for the rest of my life, where they're always going to try to, you know, interact with my life and try to, you know, prevent me or attack me or try to mess with my life if I'm, you know, susceptible to that. But that's what I feel like I'm supposed to do. So, I guess it's a crapshoot. Really. Just got to deal with it. But it's something for the books. I kind of wrap my head around it and thinking about who I was before the paranormal. It's kind of, I always make that joke too sometimes about, you know, it's like the Matrix, you know, you get involved in the paranormal. It's like, you want the blue pill or the red pill. And it's like, as soon as you take that, it's just like, all right, I'm going to look back at everything that happened. And I'm just like, you know, the only thing I haven't done now is taken a ride on Falcor's back from Never Ending Story. So.
Oh my goodness. Like that. You just got my heart there. Like, I want to ride Falcor. Totally. You know who Falcor is.
The
Never Ending Story.
Yeah,
the
dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's totally our thing. So Susan says, you were so nice. She was introduced to by Hammy. I'm assuming by Haunted Hammy.
Yeah, good guy.
Dana says, Sean is awesome.
Thank you, Dana.
Everybody's just saying hello. Hello. Sadie's saying that's interesting. And it is interesting. Sadie and I have had a lot of conversations. Sadie, you know, she's had some experiences herself, especially with some dark things. Penny is, she does, like, I want to say crafts, but she works with yarn and sewing and that thing where you make things with yarn. I don't know what you call those, what you call people that do that. Sewers,
knitting,
but she makes all kinds of cool characters and stuff like that. So she's a very talented crochet. That's what it's called. Crochet. Thanks, Penny. She makes really cool stuff. But I know I've always, it's almost like I feel like I have a big affinity with Mother Mary. I don't know if you remember from Moundsville, like when I was doing my speech and I look over and I bought the Mother Mary and the Jesus bleeding heart things that were over by that guy. You know, when we were on the stage and that guy that was all the way towards that back wall had all the weird things and the hearse was right there. He had a Mother Mary and Jesus. So I've always been connected to Mother Mary, and I always feel like being called. We lost him. Something happened. Oh, here he's coming back. Was that me or you?
No, that was me. I've never seen that happen before. My entire Google Chrome just shut down, like completely disappeared off my screen.
I was talking about Mother Mary. Did you hear any of it?
Oh, we're also talking about some of this creepy stuff, and that's not a surprise. Sometimes things like
that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
As he's looking around.
I know. I keep seeing you looking around. Is there someone in the room with you, or are you seeing things around you?
I'm always seeing things.
I know you're always like, okay, there's something there.
Never ending.
You're always on alert. It does seem that. So, how has this affected like your well-being in general? Like, has it?
I mean, I've been oppressed over the years. I know in the beginning of me investigating the paranormal, someone had coerced me to play with the Ouija board, and I got oppressed by an evil spirit. And it was after coming back from Bobby Mackey's, and it was pretty bad. Like, it's no walk in the park. And I do believe, looking back at that, God let me go through that for a reason, to have a deeper understanding what people go through on a psychological, emotional, spiritual level. And that's the most delicate nature of the paranormal. Yeah, when I came back from Bobby Mackey's, I remember like the first day I slept in my bed for the first night, and I woke up the next day. It was pouring rain out. No one's been in my car, and I got in my car, and like I looked in the windshield, and like the letters JS were written on my windshield from inside the windshield, and I'm just like, who the hell did that? And it, looking back at it too, like no one really knew Johanna's last name, so I'm wondering, like, was that her initials? Maybe I don't know.
Oh, I just got chills. Yeah.
And like after that, like I'm sitting at my computer, and like my sister lived with me at the time, and I just felt burning on the top of my feet, and literally like I had 3 scratch marks that was bleeding on the top of my right foot, and just like it looked like a red hole on my left top of my foot, and it was bleeding from both tops of my feet. And I come out there, my sister's like, what the F is that? Is like the freaking stigmata? What the hell's wrong with you? I'm like,
stigmata, that's what I was gonna say. I just read 2 books about that.
Yeah, and then like I literally started to go through like an oppressive type of thing, and it was trying to get me to go to the cemetery by myself, and I did a couple times by myself, and I sat there and I started smelling like rotting flesh and sulfur, and I'd be recording EVPs, and it was be saying hail to this demon, hail to that demon. It was trying to make me suicidal. I mean, it was trying for sure. I mean, it was so hard. I'd have to pull over my car because I couldn't breathe. I'd have to put my head out the window. I mean, I'd be at an office working. I had to go to the bathroom, put cold water on my face because I was literally like, I felt like I was watching my family be burnt alive in front of me. It was so awful. I'd wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning, go up and down the stairs, feeling like I'm being stabbed everywhere. And it just came to the point. I looked up about psychic protection, and I did this visualization of white light around me. And, I said, I'm grounded of this earth and surrounded by the white light of Jesus Christ. And I just saw this red glowing ball fly off my body and go out the window. And immediately I felt like pretty much back to normal. And I said, mother effer, it got me. But again, that was a defining moment for me, so I can have an understanding of what oppression is. So it's like when I go to that and tell somebody that they're going through that same thing, it's kind of like a drug counselor to a drug addict to say, look, I've been in that dark place and I can kind of relate to that, and I can be helpful in that manner. So, I mean, but that's what life in general is. It's really about learning through struggle so we can overcome things that are hard for us, because if everything was perfect, and blissful here, wouldn't be no purpose for us to be here. Whether it's spiritual or something else that's, a different diversified thing that a human being has to go through, it's all about learning and achieving by overcoming, taking something that's dark and turning into something light for yourself and every other person in your world, in the world, encounter with that light.
The computer's dying. That's what I'm doing. Sorry. I agree. And I was, as you were telling that story, like, and I guess I've never really talked to someone really deep about it. I've talked to some friends, and Gary knows about the thing that happened to me, but it sounded so familiar. Like some of the just the key words you were saying about something that happened to me at a graveyard right here by my house. Like there's this graveyard that I've just always been called to. And I'm like, why do I go there? And I kind of went and I had a similar experiences. There's a Mother Mary statue in there. And Mother Mary's like my guide, my saint, like, she's the one I reach out to mostly. And so I would go there and I'd talk to her, and I guess kept getting called. And I immediately thought it was like something like they were calling me because there's some trash. I had to clean up trash and whatever. And but then I went there one night and same thing, kind of burning flesh and weird things were happening. And it was like this, hearing these voices, and I didn't do any EVPs. I didn't do any of that. But as we were walking home, something followed me, and him and I were like, we were literally walking home. We're like, you need to leave. You cannot come home with us. I meditate and I do yoga. So the next day I was meditating and doing yoga, and the graveyard was calling me again. And the Mother Mary statue that I go talk to was reaching her hand out to me. And she's in my visualization, and she's like, come to me, child. I will save you. And I will love you like a mother should. And it went to my mother wound. Like it knew where my wound was at. And I was like in my meditation reaching out to her. And then my guides came in and showed me the real face and the real person. But it was like a drug. I had to keep going back to this graveyard. And I said to him, like, I've seen this vision. I know what's there, but I have to go. I just have to go. So they had to like almost forcefully not let me go there. I mean, like as I walk past, and they'd be like, nope, come on. And I haven't been back since because of that. So it's really cool to hear that I'm not the only one. That's a very not common, but it's that we have a connection in that way, that it wasn't my imagination.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean,
have to come check out the graveyard for me.
Just because I've seen a lot of dark things, and I've seen a lot of demonic entities, whether at the corner of my bed or in a vision. But I've had some pretty profound, religious and positive stuff too. I mean, I believe I was able to remote view and watch a time when Jesus was alive. I had seen a couple of things. There was one thing where I saw what I believed to be Jesus, and I saw the back of his head. He had his hands up. He was wearing a toga, and there was like a handful of gentlemen on a mound, a dirt mound. There were stone steps going up in between. There were people on there. Okay. His hands up in the air, and he was telling these gentlemen, he's like, "I am destined to be crucified." And from there, I saw another one where I saw like a guy in a toga holding a cloth, and I saw a man laying on stone. Obviously, psychic visions are blurry and stuff, but I do believe potentially that was the Shroud of Turin that was being put on Jesus. Okay. I'd also had an angel come to me, and I felt this like peaceful, bright light over my body, just complete utter peace, and told me, "Peace be with you," and gave me a whole thing message that I'd written down. Warning me of how to deal with evil spirits, and gave me a very profound message, which I think is very prevalent for all of us that should be living that life. It's believing in yourself to be greater than you think you are, and I think it's important to have faith, in God, of course. But I think it's you got to have belief in yourself to overcome this stuff. God and the angels are a guiding light. But we're here to encourage us, to guide us in some manner. But in the end, it's our free will that is able to make the right or wrong choice, and how that affects people negatively or positively, or whether you're going to accomplish the mission that your soul was meant to do when we first were born into this world.
That was beautiful. Like that was like a sermon right there. Like that, but you're absolutely right. Like, I love that. I love that, because there's so many that preach like, give everything to God, which we should, but knowing that we have some of that willpower and control over it too. We can't just give everything to it and expect him to fix it. Like, we do. We need to
have cliff notes to life. I mean, we're here to learn. I mean, of course, have that extra guidance I think it's important. And I think some of our souls are more geared to be more involved spiritually than others, because your soul could have landed in an atheist body, but that person might do good work in the world and might be a doctor or fireman, and they're saving people's lives. They're making a difference. Their actions are a representation of light. And that's really what God represents. It's unconditional love and forgiveness. No matter what that person believes in, they're doing good. And that's what the evil spirits don't want. They do not want us to accomplish God's will and God's purpose to actually create human beings and to bring a brightness to our soul from the ultimate journey, and to go on this and go into a physical vessel and live the physical life without having that higher knowledge of who we are, where we come from. It's only based upon perception and faith ultimately.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were talking about angels. Do you you said you had an angel come to you and bring you that message? Do you get frequented by angels? Do you have experiences with angels? Because I know
I've had a few. Obviously I have a unique approach how I do the paranormal investigations, which I don't think you see much of, but I always offer to pray for spirits to try to cross them over in some of these locations. And I always leave the spirit box on. And I think that's powerful when these spirits consistently, proficiently mention saying, "Pray for me," because they're in true spirit form. So, for them to tell me and saying, "Pray for them," they're going to have a better idea whether that prayer is going to help them. And that's also how I can actually believe, in my opinion, to differentiate ultimately whether you're dealing with a human spirit or something that's trying to trick you, because no evil spirit would ever want you to pray and bring you closer to God for any reason. So if they say pray, I can pretty much confidently say that you're dealing with a human spirit. But leaving the spirit box on while I pray, and then, getting this type of responses by saying, "I see my mother and I'm going to heaven now," and things like that, I think that's pretty powerful. And it'd be better for, more of us to do that for spirits and show that example, because I do believe that the spirits will be more reciprocal in the results of evidence if they truly believe that you're willing to help them and not just use them as an experiment for a video for materialistic reasons.
You get so much of that anymore, where they're like, "Oh, let me get views from this, and let's make it scary, and let's make it that," because obviously, yes, there is real dark energies and dark forces out there, but there is a lot of light. And, I do feel like it overpowers the dark a lot, but everybody focuses on that dark because it gets the views, it gets the numbers on the YouTube, and it sometimes just goes down this rabbit hole of like everything's dark.
Well, I think that's why the demonic and the demon word is kind of like to people, because people throw it around, like you said, for clicks and for views. And of course, I mean, every human being likes attention and stuff, but people like ourselves who are truly passionate about the paranormal, we want to take care of that. We want to nurture that. We respect it. So of course, I think it's great, for me, because I'm thinking like the power of prayer and how I approach the paranormal. The bigger the audience I have, and anyone who's open to believing how I approach the paranormal is sending a ripple out into the universe. And even if it helps one person or many people throughout the world, that's what I'm trying to do. I just want to leave something that's impactful and positive, and not just for an entertainment value. Of course, the paranormal is endlessly entertaining and fascinating regardless. But, this is real stakes. This is a real game, and, a real thing that's going on, and not just like going to like great adventure. It is very dangerous, but, it's a gift, it's a gift and a curse, but it's a gift knowing that there is something after death. We're lucky to have these experiences and know that, because most people will just go through life thinking they're going to have their last breath and that'll be the end of it, just blackness. And, that's it. So, I just, it's complicated. I mean, everyone has different methods. I don't judge anyone has a different belief system than me. I do it my way. And anyone who wants to, believe me, if somebody has a different, method or belief system and they want my help, I will try to guide them in the way that I actually do that, regardless of what, they do. But ultimately you want to try to help people. But I think it's, I don't know. I feel it's a responsibility to help people and give an example, what, bring awareness to the spirituality and what can happen dealing with this stuff. And most importantly, so people who are dealing with stuff like this in their home, they don't feel like they're crazy. I think they have a lot more opportunity of that these days than it was like decades ago, when you'd have to look up at a yellow pages for a parapsychologist, and
I know
they wouldn't even know where to turn. It's a different ballgame.
Ghostbusters.
It's
that's
like
what they're thinking. They're going to come out with.
People actually want their house to be haunted today. And like 30, 40 years ago, they'd be scared to talk about it in their neighborhood because they'd be shunned from the neighborhood and be chased out by pitchforks and torches, probably saying that they're the devil's work. I mean, because people know that they can be their claim to fame. And that's another thing too, that you have to decipher while trying to help people, because if they don't have the intention to get rid of what's in their house, it wouldn't matter if I turn their house into a church. You can get yourself into trouble, and these evil spirits will actually know that they're invited in subconsciously. They don't want the help. They just want the attention. So that's something to be aware of too, is that your intent, which is such a prominent, profound element of the paranormal when you're going on investigation. I believe the spirits can actually, tap into your intent. I feel like they can see the color of your aura and the colorization of it, and what that colorization means to them is what your intent is subconsciously. So whether you're doing it for just money or this and that or whatever, I feel like they can sense that. And that will also, affect the way that they interact with you, whatever type of haunted location you're going to. And I feel like that's why I get a lot of evidence around me, is because I always try to offer to help them. It's not just, do a backflip for me, or, like a gerbil in a cage or a monkey. It's like, I respect you. I'm appreciative to be able to experience you in any ways. We're brothers and sisters. We come from the same source of light. But, we can try to help each other. You can bring awareness by showing us a sign of your presence, but I will try to help you. I will legitimately try to help you and pray for you if that's what you want.
Yeah. And I feel like we have that in the beginning. I don't know if you saw my little ads with the Doll's House. And I'm getting ready to do an ad break and share the video. I want you to watch it. And I want you to I would love for you to come there. Danielle and Shauna, if you're still here, we need to get Sean there. I think you'd be great, because it comes from a town where Prince Gallitzin, he was a prince turned priest, and he was one of the first priests that in that West Alleghenies, it created a Catholic settlement in the West Alleghenies. And there's a lot of history there. There's some exorcisms there too, and just a lot of stuff there. Let me share the video. It's like a 2-minute video, and for my sponsors, and I think you'll be interested.
Yeah, sounds good.
So that is the Doss house.
Very cool.
Like it is like there was a lot of experiences in there. Like I said, Gary doesn't get shaken very often, but he was shaken. I'm not going to publicly say too much, but we can talk privately of some of the things that I picked up and some of the things we found out, because I know other investigators want to come there and we want to see what they pick up.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely a connection to the Catholic Church and some dark things.
I have actually a very interesting connection to Pennsylvania. I'm the 8th paternal grandson of William Penn.
Oh, wow.
Are you really?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is really cool. Have you ever lived in Pennsylvania, or you always been down north?
My sister's middle name is actually Penn.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So are you originally from North Carolina area? Is that where you're?
No. I've lived in New York most of my life. Then I lived in Connecticut from like 2020 to 2024. So, and then down there, but originally from New York.
Okay. So I want to talk about like my first introduction to you before I even met you was 28 Days Haunted. The show. I absolutely loved that show. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I know there's been some things going on with, we're not going to talk about that, but yeah, I thought it was amazing that you picked up on, why can't I remember her name?
Mercy Adelaide.
Adelaide. Yes. Adelaide. And just like that whole connection, like I just felt, I didn't feel like you guys got enough time on screen for what you guys were doing there at the place that you guys were at.
There was plenty of time. You just didn't see it. I mean, we were there.
You didn't see it.
We were there for that amount of time. I mean, they just, that's why I made that video on YouTube, like a 20-minute, documentary, putting the evidence that you didn't see on the show, and ultimately that music video of the song that the spirit connected with me, which is like probably the most emotional, like sad and beautiful paranormal experience I've ever had. I wish I would have put that on the show. It would have been just, it doesn't have to be all scary and thrills and chills. There was a very powerful experience. I wish I would have put on there. But it is what it is, but at least I was able to put it out there.
That romantic. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's on your YouTube account. People can go watch that on there. I have watched that, but
yeah, just type in Mercy. Just type in Mercy 28 Days Haunted. It'll pop right up.
Okay. Yeah, and it was amazing. Like, and the connection you had with that spirit, I feel like you still do. Do you feel like you still have a connection with that spirit? Like you still?
I've heard references to her. Yeah, I mean, it's come through sometimes. Yeah. But it's funny because, like I said, I mean, when I went to go do the music video, the filmmaker, he didn't know much about the story, and I just Googled it, and I didn't even know this part, but there I am because I wanted to do it on the beach, and I went to Wilmington to go film this music video and on the ocean because, allegedly the captain may have shipwrecked. And I look up and find out that he had actually allegedly shipwrecked 3 hours from where I was in the beach in North Carolina off Cape Hatteras. And I thought that was a weird type of thing. And then I found out that he wrote this like message on the day that the Captain Grant Inn was built in 1754. And he said, "God bless my family, watch over us," this and that. And the date was February 13th, 1754. And that's my birthday, which I thought was another weird synchronicity.
Oh yeah, the synchronicities are everywhere. And I think we have some people in the comments saying, like, Sean is saying that, wow, the circles are connecting. And then Danielle's saying you're a Yenzer. I don't know what that means.
I don't either.
That might have something to do with William Penn. They're Western PA, so I'm not sure. But then my friend Penny, the one that made Falcor, they're related to William Penn's wife. So you guys are related. That is so cool. I went to a house this weekend in Waynesboro, and I was reading, like, it was a beautiful Victorian early 1900s home mansion on the hill. Yins, like Yins, a Yinzer. I mean, they didn't say what Yin's doing instead of what y'all doing, like what Yin's doing. That's what she means by that. But I went there and I saw, like, I was reading the little bio of the owner of the house, and then I saw who he married. I'm like, oh my God, that's my relative. It was one of my relatives in my tree, in my family tree. And I'm like, this is so cool. So yeah, it's cool to find people like we're connected with. And it always seems to kind of, like what Sean was saying, the circles connect, back to that. So I am trying to look up the video. It's 19 minutes long. Like, I know you talk a little bit. Is there an actual just video of the
put it on your link
of the music, or
you can fast forward it to like probably 16 minutes. I think the music video starts.
16 minutes. Okay.
Somewhere around there.
I would love people to see that if you don't mind.
Yeah, of course.
Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, so we'll stop here, and then
her humming's part of the song too that I got on EVP.
The humming. If anybody in the comments has watched 28 Days Haunted and seen this scene where, like, Sean was super connected to that spirit in the house, it's just amazing. Go back and watch 28 Days Haunted. Like, I think that was my biggest, like, it hit me in my heart. It really did. Let's share my screen. And I'm going to pull up. Here we go. All right. Hopefully also share tab. Okay. Let me know if you don't.
And this is truly something special. And I wanted to give visual to her and what she went through and what I went through together with her in that journey.
I savor your lips with every breath. Each day I stare down these empty roads. The wind keeps me still without reach, and the chance it'll bring me back to you. Dancing to the sounds of yesterday's song. Now without you, I must endure this all. And it feels far, I can't seem to reach. My heart goes in waves to every beat. The screams of mercy I cannot defeat. Will you return me when I'm gone? Somewhere I hope this holds you close. The days draw out memories to tears. reeling in sorrows that once was peace, dancing to the sounds of yesterday's song. Now without you, I must endure this all. And it feels far, I can't seem to reach. My heart fills and weighs to every beat. The screams of mercy I cannot defeat. Will you return me when I'm gone? The sky tonight, how I wonder if you can't see the same stars I do. Heaven feels far, can't seem to reach. My heart blows and weighs to every beat. The screams for mercy I cannot defeat. Will you return me when I'm gone? Somewhere I hope this holds you close.
Hold on. Where am I at? There I am. That was absolutely beautiful. And the connection you have with that spirit there, I think that's what got my heart. So all of you, like, you need to go back and watch 28 Days Haunted and pay attention to the real star, not star. I'm not going to say the real star, but everybody was contributed to it. But certain people got more attention than others. And go back and pay attention to what he did there. Like the musical talent. When did you know that have you always played music?
That was my first passion way long before the paranormal came into the picture. Yeah, that was my first. I love. Music is everything to me too. Yeah, the paranormal kind of took me off in a whole like different tangent in life, to be honest with you.
And that is so cool. Like you could take your experience in the paranormal and turn it into music. Like a lot of people take their experiences and they turn them into art, and that is your art. I think you should do more of that and more of these experiences you had and write more songs about something.
I had thought about a buddy of mine. He's a talented hard rock guitar player, and we collaborated on like a song years ago for one of my podcasts, and it came out really great. And I was like, you know what, this evil spirit that's after me. I was just talking about it like in the last day or so. I'm like, I'm thinking about doing like a hard rock type song, just talking about like this, evil spirit that's after me, and just talking about it because it's some really deep shit, pretty wild. But yeah, I love creating music. I love being creative in general, I mean that's definitely a heart and soul right there. The paranormal music for me.
Absolutely. Sadie says she's going to rewatch 28 Days. Yes, you do. Absolutely. Now that you have different view on it, and Susan says musical talent too. Dana said, I really enjoyed that, and clap. And Penny says, yes, that was a very pretty song. It really was. You could hear the passion, and I think that's where like when you write about something and you sing about something that you're very passionate about, you can hear that. So everybody, when you go back and watch the connection he has with the spirit there, I think you're gonna like the song's gonna be even more. So I just literally went to YouTube and I said Mercy 28 Days Haunted. There's it's a 19-minute video. He talks about the things that aren't in the show, and then watches and then does the video. So you need to. Here we go. Susan says, I see him sitting and playing guitar to spirits on investigations. should incorporate it more in the day to day. Have you ever done that? Have you ever played music to spirits?
Well, apparently I was in 28 Days Haunted because I was playing the guitar. Because I asked the producers if I could bring my acoustic guitar with me because I knew that we weren't going to have any phone, TV, or internet the whole time. I mean, we're going to basically be like the Amish, you know, where no electricity, you know, electrical advancements or nothing like that for them, you know, to a degree. And I would just sit around the house and I came up with like 5 or 6 song ideas, and one of them was a whole song. You know, I was humming a melody to it, and I was humming that melody around the house and all the way in the backyard by myself on the bench. But little did I know, obviously, the spirit of Mercy Adelaide was listening the entire time. So when I had that experience, when I sat on that chair and that, you know, that night in the house, which I talk about in that piece on YouTube, I realized that she knew about the song. That's really emotional. I couldn't stop crying. I was sobbing because she knew about the song. And I felt how much she was so appreciative to have a voice. You know, we're like so, you know, from different time periods, and somehow, you know, we connected on a level. And like she basically like kind of like co-wrote a song with me, because the first line of the song is something that I psychically picked up that I believe that she was writing to him on a letter because of her loss, and just as if she was writing it to him, as if he would read it.
Yeah, for those that don't know, she was the wife of the captain that was waiting there for him to return. Is that correct? I'm correct in that, right?
Yeah, Captain Grant's, yep.
Yes, Captain Grant, right? She was waiting for them to return. It was just a beautiful love story. And that you were like, every time you mention her name, my complete body gets chills. And she's telling me like she is so happy that you honored her and put this song out for her. Like she just is ecstatic about it. Do you believe she's still waiting there for her husband, for Captain Grant?
I reunited with him because I saw a vision of it. I prayed for, obviously you saw that part on the show. And what happened was when I got the last recording mix of the song, I was in my old apartment and I had a vision of this woman in a green dress, and she gave me a curtsy. And I just felt like that was her. And I'll never forget like the day the show came out on Netflix, and I passed out on the couch, and then I had another vision of this woman in a green dress, and she ran up to this gentleman, and he kind of like spun her around in his hand and then carried her up in her arms. And I just had such a really good positive feeling. I feel like that.
Yeah, I was feeling it as you're saying it. Like, yeah, like that's exactly. So maybe you helped her make that reconnection. Do you feel that you did?
There was definitely a positive outcome with her, with me going there, praying for her, and then doing this song. It was a release for her. It's kind of a release for me too. It was kind of a very, it's just surreal. It's very, very surreal. And it doesn't matter the fact that it had to do with me, but I just think like experiences like that are so important to share. And that's why it's a shame it wasn't on the show, because you know, that's what real people would resonate with people. People would have been like crying, like, you know, if they really heard about what happened with my connection to that woman. It's about the experience. It doesn't have to do, you know, since it had
exactly. We watch TV and we watch shows to get an emotional response. Yeah. So producers can play on that. They can play on like, okay, are they going to make us be afraid and be fearful? Are they going to make us feel really deep and you know, like you said, crying and stuff like that? Or are they going to make us feel like hate and anger and stuff like that? So like, it all depends on which direction the directors want to go with that. But
that's the shame. I mean, because, well, you know, I almost feel like the show was like 28 minutes haunted than it was 28 days, because that's pretty much all you get to see. I mean, because there's so much more that happened.
There was only 6 episodes.
They have to make something that's cohesive in a short amount of time with 3 total teams. And
I think you each should have had your own.
I agree. Season. I mean, we didn't know how the setup was going to be. I mean, it should have, in my opinion, should have been one team, 6-hour episodes. So the team, the characterizations of the people could progress, and people get accustomed to the people on the show and get to know them, and then care about what happens to them, and then emotionally draw them in with really good, more paranormal evidence, because there's a lot of paranormal evidence that was taken away, including mine, because there was such a small amount of time. They have to make a cohesive, you know, put this together like it makes sense, because we're there for such a long period of time. But, I think what people really want is just, anything like that happens paranormal wise, just let it naturally happen. Whichever direction it goes, let it happen and present it in that manner.
Exactly. I agree with you. Like, I think that if there wasn't enough to really to get in there. It seemed very rushed. It seemed like,
yeah, because
the dark stuff.
Be there about a month for each team, and then each team on the show probably had a total about an hour and 15 to an hour and 20 minutes ish each for the 28 days. That's obviously a very small bracket of time. I mean, that's like you really don't understand like what we went through. I mean, by the third week, it didn't matter if I slept 8 hours, man. I was slurring my words. I felt like I was drunk. I couldn't even speak anymore. I couldn't investigate anymore. It was just too much. It took me like 2 weeks to get back to normal after leaving the property. Weird things were happening. I felt strange. I mean, it was definitely an experience, but worth it in the end, because being in a place for that long allowed me to connect with her and like with a spirit in a way that I couldn't have imagined like that. I mean, that's really how something like that can happen. So that's what that I was there for a reason. There's no doubt about it. Just like she said,
you were there for a reason. So I guess I don't know if there's going to be a sequel.
I don't think so, Dana. It's been years now. I mean,
it has.
There's not a lot of paranormal TV shows in general right now. I think there's a lot of.
I think Tony Sphere is doing more of the traveling shows, and.
Well, I'm sure if the show continued, it would have happened. But I mean, a lot of paranormal opportunities are not really there right now because there's so much moving around behind the scenes, so to speak, with all the entertainment companies. They're all merging because of streaming. People are getting rid of cable and all this stuff. And you haven't seen like a new ghost show for the most part on things like Travel Channel, Discovery. I feel like it's going to come back. I just have a feeling like all of a sudden.
Very weird right now. You're right. It's very weird right now. I just filmed with Haunted Discoveries, which is airing in Canada, but they're also airing on Haunt TV. And then you got, you got a couple different
from us. So, I mean, even though it's like, but the US is kind of like taking a step back, but the niche is still there. I mean, people are getting millions of views on YouTube and TikTok involved in the paranormal. So it's there. It's just the people that are in charge and all these merging of different companies have different ideas and attitudes, and they probably want to get settled with their company before they start approaching, shows again like that. But I do feel like it's going to come back. I feel like there are going to be shows again. But whatever's meant to be is meant to be. So someone just said something about the Titanic. I investigated Ripley's Believe It or Not down in Panama City, where my mom lives. It's a very interesting, amazing paranormal investigation, and they had items from the Titanic. And Ripley's Believe It or Not, we were getting references to the Titanic. I would love to go to the Titanic Museum. I believe is it in Tennessee? I forget.
We can find out. Google is right on the hand, right on here. They recently had those people that went down in the little submarines and didn't survive, apparently, or something. So the Titanic Museum is in Tennessee, Pigeon Forge. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I would love
a memorial in Washington D.C.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, Tennessee. But there's just people that went down in those submarines or whatever they were, and they were trying to. I don't know if they were going for the Titanic.
Oh yeah, that was horrific. I don't know how you make a small thing like that going down there.
Yeah, that was a whole conspiracy theory thing. I'm not going to get into it, but so Dana says I found Haunt TV on Prime and love it too. Yes, Haunt TV. Yes, Haunted Discoveries. I don't. Have you watched them at all, Sean? And watched anything that Brandon Albus is doing?
No, I know about it. I've seen some of the trailers. It looks great.
I like the
like shows in general. I mean, it's hard for me to watch like other people investigate because it just makes me want to go out and do it myself. And I am doing it. I'm doing it so much to actually watch it. It's like, oh God.
Oh, I know. Last time I saw you ran off to the Blair House We were all going to go, but then no one got any answers from anybody. And we're like sitting at the hotel. By then I'm 3 beers deep and pizza. And I'm like, no, I'm not coming out.
Yeah. That's definitely another creeper location for sure.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, like, again, I mean, my life is paranormal all day and every day. It's like living, breathing that stuff. So, you know, my favorite paranormal shows, I really love to hear about people's stories. I really love to hear about the journey of people experiencing stuff and hearing about what they experience rather than just your typical paranormal investigation, you know, shows. That's what I always loved before I got involved in the paranormal. I just love hearing about the diversified stories of people and their experiences.
And that's that human connection. I'm the same way. The human connection. If you can give me a human connection to the stories, like the one, and that's why I think I'm so drawn to your experience in 28 Days Haunted, is the connection you had. Like, it's not just, hey, here you are. It's like, let's dig down deep and find this connection with someone.
That's usually how I approach trying to help people in their houses too. I don't think it's, I don't think you have a better, I think you have a better chance to actually help family if you get down on an individual level with the spirits and try to get them and incentivize them to find peace and go and transition, rather than just going in there saying, okay, your house is haunted, and just, you know, drop a bomb of light and try to displace everything off and force it off the property. Unless it's evil, then it just has to go anyways. But I mean, you know, that's why I try to like help them and speak to them on that individual level. I think it's way more beneficial and way more of a chance where the ultimate goal of your home being peaceful and a sanctuary like it should be.
Yeah. So if you could choose anywhere in the world, I know this is Russ, I'm going to use your question here, but anywhere in the world to investigate, where would you want to go?
Lock me in that Amityville house.
The Amityville house.
Yes.
Yeah. I've always been drawn to that place. I've always been drawn. Like, there's just so much there. I want to go over to the castles in Europe. That's my biggest thing.
I mean, that's all interesting, and of course, castles and Bagel Island, the Island of Dolls, to, you know. I mean,
I just recently had a conversation with someone with the Island of Dolls. I forget where I was at, and they were like shocked to hear about all these dolls that were like, you go to this island and the dolls are everywhere, and they were shocked about that. Dana says Paranormal Witness was her favorite years ago.
I
that
love
was actually one. Yes, absolutely an amazing show. So where was your most? Obviously, we've seen 20 Days Haunted. We've seen you've been on a couple different shows. What was your most favorite place that you've ever been to? Your most, I guess, besides what we've seen on 20 Days Haunted. Where was your most significant haunting that you've been to?
I mean, you mean just crazy, or just like
crazy? Like, maybe scared. I don't want to say scared because I don't see you as a person to be scared, but maybe you are.
I mean, I have a story that we did a whole documentary about the Amityville. It followed me home. I mean, that's why I have personal stakes in that, you know, experiences. Why I'd love to get in the house more so than just the interest on the outside. You know, this place in Ohio that we did a documentary, Malefice. That was a long, creepy story. Definitely one of the biggest cases of my life for sure. You can watch that on scarenetwork.tv. Which Ralph is a part of too, as well as the Amityville documentary. It's called Amityville Resurgence. Yeah, I mean, there's plenty of places that I've been to. I get really excited going to a new location where I don't know what I'm going to encounter, and getting that first impression. I noticed too, because I do a lot of live stream investigations, that it's hard to kind of, you know, hone in on my gifts when I'm like multitasking with like 2 streams and like, you know, equipment all over me and things like that. So
I know, yeah.
I go to a new location, I'm trying to like, okay, I need to go do a walkthrough and then try to pick up things to use my gift and then start the investigation. So if anything comes through later on, I can kind of connect the dots and get that validation. According to, but that's what I love. I love going to new locations. You know, of course, I've had my profound experiences in other dark places throughout the years, whether they're asylums or old mansions or or farmhouses and things of that nature. But I get most excited when it's something new, when you don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can go back to a location you've been to many times and have a different experience that night, but still, I mean, it's exciting when you go to a place that you never seen before and your body's never reacted to the energies there, especially if you're sensitive like ourselves.
It's different. Like when I go to the Hoover House now, I know all the spirits there. It's like, oh, hey, how you doing? It's different. Like, but when I go to a new place, like last time I saw you, we were at Moundsville doing the Paracon, and literally I was leaving Moundsville to go to Kentucky to film for Haunted Discoveries, and I had no idea where we were filming. So we're at the hotel, and the driver's picking us up like 9 a.m. the next morning, right? And we're like, we have no idea where we're going. We're just like, she's picking us up at 9 a.m. Okay. So we get in the car, and she's like, we're going to Waverly Hills. I'm like, what?
She goes, oops, I just slipped.
She's like, oops, I slipped. I'm like, so we're filming at Waverly Hills. So we filmed at Waverly Hills. And I'm like, I was so geeked out because it's one of the locations like that I really wanted to see, and I hadn't been there yet. And like you said, when you have all these cameras and everything, it's really hard to connect with your gifts. I did end up having some experiences, and I was able to connect to the nurse that wanders the floors because she like ended up touching my shoulder. And I think we got that. Depends on what they air. You never know. It's not aired yet, so I don't know what they're actually going to show when we see the episode. But that place just like, have you been there before? You've been to Waverly Hills? Like that place was just,
yes, I've been there twice. The last time we were there, actually Hammy caught a child shadow in a video in the hallway, and on the same hallway, like minutes later, I caught a shadow figure in the same hallway. Yeah, I mean, that's definitely one of the most haunted places around, for sure. And I'd love to go back because it seems like just something interesting will happen. There's just so much there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like those asylums in general, there's just so much more than your average haunted location because there's just so much emotional turmoil and stuff that went on there. It's not like a prison or a mental hospital. I mean, I seem to tap into a lot of that stuff in those places too with my abilities more so than your average location as well. So
yeah, because you're a very emotional creature. You're an empath.
Yeah.
Like I work with kids with autism, and I'm a behavioral health specialist. I do behavior analyst, and I do therapy and I do trauma therapy. So asylums and things like Penhurst really affect me. I have never investigated Penhurst because I don't know if I could.
Mm-hmm.
Because every time I'm there, when I do I go there. I've been there for the Paracon. I don't know if I could investigate because it touches me so much because that's a state-run asylum here in Pennsylvania, and there are still state-run asylums here in Pennsylvania that I have clients at. And just seeing that, it's like I think they know that, and they come at me. It's a scary thought, but I'm with you there. Like that, where there's intense emotional things have happened, it is a stronger experience.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Mm-hmm. So we're almost at the end of the show. So where can people find you? Like, obviously we talked about 28 Days Haunted. Like, I think if you just would Google Sean Austin, you would find him and you'd find all his stuff. What do you want to plug right now? Tell people where to go.
My social media pages are Sean D. Austin. If you want to find me on YouTube, it's Sean Austin Paranormal. I've been doing a lot of live investigations on there as well as TikTok. And as well, we created our own paranormal app software called SPI, Spirit Phone Innovations. And we're using AI text-to-speech technology to analyze EVPs within the audio and the environment outside of human speech frequencies. It's a new experimental method, and we're getting some really amazing results, and we're continuously innovating that brand new experimental conceptual idea. So check it out. It's available on iOS, SPI. It'll be out on Android sometime in the new year. Hopefully,
I can't get it. I have Android.
I know I have Android, so I bought an iPad, but so check that out, and otherwise, look out for some new stuff in the new year. Okay,
so obviously we get the bash this year, the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. Are you going to be there this year?
Yes, planning to.
Okay. And there's karaoke, and you sing. Are you going to do karaoke?
I mean, of course I would. I think the last time they did it, it's like you have to sign up months before, and I don't wrap my head around it until like you're there. It's like, can you just have people sign up when we're there and be a thing? Or
I'm sure if you went to Steve and said, "Hey, get me in," he would have got you in.
they had no time to fit me in by the time I asked that night because we already had like drinks deep and stuff. But of course.
Well, I am planning a little venture of a group performance at the bash if you want to be part of it.
A group performance?
Yes, a group performance. I'm not going to say it out loud what it is because it's going to be a surprise, but I have talked to a couple people. But it's definitely going to get some attention. So.
Okay. Well, yeah, let me know.
I'll talk to you about it privately.
Okay.
But I appreciate you coming on. Does anybody have any other questions for Sean? Thank you guys all for watching. If there's anything else, I think everybody's talking about the Dead Files right now. I think you mentioned it. Someone else mentioned it. That was a good show. I was really excited because he was supposed to be at Panel Unity last year. I forget his name. But then he had some heart things going on. He couldn't be there with Amy. Dead Files is a good show. I think that it's definitely more for entertainment. I don't know your thoughts about that, but we're not here to critique shows.
No.
We have to tread lightly. But I appreciate you coming on, Sean. Like I said, I'm gonna
Holzer Files.
Holzer Files. What do you think about the whole favorite ones? Holzer Files. Did you watch that one?
Dave Schrader.
I'm very impressed with Shane and Josh. They have, they got their Beacon TV thing going, and I know they have Cindy, Dave, and the gang getting back together to kind of do the same concept, but maybe a broader brush. So I'm sure that'll be great for them. I'm excited for them to continue to be able to do what they were doing before. That's I hope they have nothing but success.
Yeah, and I do too. The Holzer Files in general fascinate me, like all the stuff that he originally did, because they went back and reinvestigated everything the Holzer did, and I think that's like I would love to dig deeper into like what he had done and maybe read some of his files. I think personally, I think it'd be really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's so much in this world that we don't know, and I think that people like you and like us and like others, we're trying to just figure out the unknown, and I appreciate that you do that. I appreciate that you continue on this path, and I hope that we see more of you.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, guys. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, you are welcome.
Thanks for coming on.
And again, everybody that watched tonight, thank you for watching with us tonight. Again, please remember to fill your cup first. You cannot pour from an empty cup.